अभी ये प्रकरण निकल रहे, ज्ञानवापी का मुद्दा चल रहा है। अब ऐसे मुद्दे हैं, एक इतिहास तो है, उसको हम बदल नहीं सकते। वो इतिहास हमने नहीं बनाया, न आज के अपने आप को हिंदू कहलाने वालों ने बनाया, न आज के मुसलमानों ने बनाया। उस समय घटा, ठीक है, प्रतीकात्मक कुछ हमारी विशेष श्रद्धा थी, ऐसे स्थानों के बारे में हमने कहा, लेकिन रोज एक मामला निकालना नया, ये भी नहीं करना चाहिए। हमको झगड़ा क्यों बढ़ाना है? ज्ञानवापी के बारे में हमारी कुछ श्रद्धाएं हैं, परंपरा से चलती आई, हम कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, परंतु हर मस्जिद में शिवलिंग क्यों देखना?
Welcome to Khanversations. I'm Muqtedar, your host, and you have, as you see with me, we have Mr. Najeeb Jung, who was the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi. He was also the Vice Chancellor of Jamia Millia University. He has served India in the capacity of a civil servant for nearly 40 years. He's also a very prominent leader in the civil society of India. He's part of the debates that shape India's identity and politics. And also he has been engaging, I guess, after retirement with the direction in which the country is going. So we are very honored to have you on the show. Najeeb Saab, welcome again to Khanversations.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you very much.
Sir, you heard Mohan Bhagwat's speech that he gave, in which he talked about arrogance in campaign. He talked about Maryada, he talked about disrespecting the other, the importance of building consensus, and the fact that we are not at a war with each other, rather we are in competition. So he provided a very comprehensive ethical and moral critique of the manner in which Indian elections were conducted. And in the past also he has talked about how are we going to look for a shivling in every mosque, how long are we going to do this. So he has suddenly become, the chief of RSS has become the voice of sanity on the right side of the Indian politics. So do you think that his speech, which many of us have interpreted as a direct public criticism of the manner in which Prime Minister Modi conducted the elections and targeted Muslim minorities?
जिस प्रकार प्रचार के दौरान हमारे करने से समाज में मनमुटाव बढ़ेगा, दो गठ बटेंगे, आपस में शंका संशय उत्पन्न होगा, इसका भी ख्याल नहीं रखा गया और विनाकारण संघ जैसे संगठनों को भी उसमें खींचा गया। वो विरोधी नहीं है, उसको विरोधी मानना भी नहीं चाहिए, वो प्रतिपक्ष है, वो एक पहलू उजागर कर रहा है, उसका भी विचार होना चाहिए। चुनाव प्रचार की या चुनाव में जो होता है उसकी बात ऐसी है, वास्तव में तो प्रजातंत्र की अनिवार्य आवश्यक प्रक्रिया है और उसमें दो पक्ष रहते हैं, इसलिए स्पर्धा रहती है। स्पर्धा रहती है तो दूसरे को पीछे करने का, स्वयं को आगे बढ़ाने का काम होता ही है, होना ही चाहिए, परंतु उसमें भी एक मर्यादा है, असत्य का उपयोग नहीं करना।
You think that is going to have an impact, especially since you have had a dialogue with Mohan Bhagwat in the past? Do you think that is that what he was trying to say? And number two, is it going to have an impact on the rank and file in BJP and others to tone down their anti-minority rhetoric?
Khan Sahab, as you know, I've been in touch, I and my friends have been in touch with Mr. Bhagwat since 2019.
Yeah, we talked about it on our show last year.
I've had several meetings with him, and much to the annoyance of many, many secular people, I do believe that Mr. Bhagwat means business. He wants to leave the past behind him. He wants to take everyone along with him, and I have no reason to doubt his sincerity. Now, I have been around in government for 45 years. I have considerable experience in gauging people. So I, from my side, have no doubt that Mr. Bhagwat and his close associates desire to take everyone along. The days when the RSS had an agenda which was completely anti-Muslims and anti-Christian may actually be over. They may be thinking that the best way forward is to keep everyone along. That's one. And therefore, I think that Mr. Bhagwat, in his last speech, look, the speech is not an ordinary speech. He was talking to young trainees in Nagpur, so he's talking to an RSS crowd where he's giving this message. So it's a very important occasion. It happens only twice in a year. So Mr. Bhagwat gave that message. And the message is clear that please take everyone along. Mr. Modi is a very powerful prime minister. I think to use the term that, Mr. Bhagwat can go beyond this, it's impossible. He has given an indication that let's take everyone along. Now, how much the BJP will take this to heart, I can't say. There is within the RSS and within the BJP a hardcore element which carries animosity against the minorities. Can that hardcore element be tamed under current circumstances? That's Mr. Bhagwat's endeavor. Now, any organization which is so huge, it takes a lot from one individual to do this course correction in a few months. I think Mr. Bhagwat is trying, and over the years, he's trying to dilute that earlier agenda. For instance, you may have heard that Guru Golwalkar had written a book called The Bunch of Thoughts.
Yeah.
And that bunch of thoughts actually is the Bible of the RSS, where he made some very controversial remarks about Muslims.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Bhagwat has expunged those remarks from that book.
Yeah, the new edition.
That takes a lot of courage to expunge the remarks from the Bible. And he has done it. So whenever we have met him, we have come away with the impression that he means business and he'll do his best. The extent to which he will succeed is anyone's guess.
One thing that I think should be highlighted here was in your discussions, and as you shared in our previous conversation, one of the things that Mohan Bhagwat had demanded was that Muslims stop calling Hindus kafir. That was one of his demands. And he said, and I understand what it means. So, for example, when I met Jews in Morocco, when I met Jews in Morocco, I said, why do you like the Moroccan king so much? They said, look, the Moroccan king doesn't, he calls himself Amirul Mominin. He says he's the commander of the believers, not commander of Muslims. So when he says believers, as Jews, we are also believers of God. And so he's also our commander. It becomes inclusive rather than exclusionary. And so what Bhagwat, one of his demands is to go back to extend this whole concept of Ahl al-Kitab to Hindus. But what is remarkable is that he has done his part of it. He has edited their Bible, where a lot of animosity was expressed towards Muslims. And I think the challenge is now for Muslims, especially from the religious establishment, where they have to come up with a theology of inclusion and share it more widely.
You are absolutely 100% right, sir. Mr. Bhagwat did raise the issue of being called a kafir, which we clarified. Because we told him that kafir is a non-believer, but you are a believer. And so there is no angst in us about, and no sensible Muslim in India calls a Hindu a kafir. I live in India. 99.9% of my friends, my close friends, are non-Muslims, are Hindus. My daughters have married outside the community. So it's obviously they're not kafirs. The Muslim clergy refuses to come out of its cell. As we say, this little hujra which they create for themselves. For instance, in 1991, when Prime Minister Chandrasekhar was there, he had almost resolved the Babri Masjid issue. It was the Muslim side, led by Sayyid Shahabuddin, led by Zafar Jilani and the so-called Muslim Personal Law Board, that created impediments and resulted in this wave of anti-Muslim feeling in this country. The Shah Bano case is a first-class example of Muslim stupidity in this country. Here was a woman who was demanding just 67 rupees or something like that as maintenance from her husband. The Supreme Court granted that. And the Muslim clergy and the Muslims of all kinds, went to town and made Rajiv Gandhi amend the law. Now, that raises a lot of hackles. So I think much is required of the Muslim community to change their ways of thinking, to understand that the world has to be much more inclusive. We have to forget. Look, I have repeatedly said that we have a lot of madaris, the madrasas in India. Is it not? It's wonderful to teach theology in the madrasas. It is wonderful to teach the Quran to these young students. But you must teach mathematics. You must teach modern languages. You must teach English and physics and chemistry. Because this young lot of Muslims will come out on Civi Street to be citizens, to be proud citizens of India. So we have to do a lot of soul searching. Muslim community must do a lot of soul searching if things are to improve. Tali do hath se bajti hai. Just to say that Modi raised the Hindutva temperature and made Hindus anti-Muslim is not being entirely fair. So we must appreciate the efforts of people like Mr. Bhagwat. And that is why I'm carrying out that dialogue, trying to bring the Muslim clergy and the RSS together. I've had meetings in my home where we called in the Jamaat-e-Islami and the Jamaat-ul-Ulama-e-Hind and the RSS ideologues to have a chat. Unfortunately, elections have come in and, we couldn't continue that dialogue, but we will continue. And hopefully, our entire hopes rest on prayer that we will succeed.
Najeeb Saab, thank you very much for speaking so candidly, so articulately, and some of your thoughts are genuinely positive and uplifting. I wish you all the success with this dialogue. And once again, thank you very much for coming on Khanversations and talking to our audience. And to those who are watching Khanversations, please, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, press the bell icon, and also don't forget to share it with others. Najeeb Saab, thank you very much for being on Khanversations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.